Hey team, it's Sam here. I'm going to be talking today about Vocab Ninja. First, I want to introduce you to our persona, Janet. She's 38. She lives here in Cincinnati, and she's a stay-at-home mom of three elementary school-aged kids. Her goals and motivations are really to raise independent learners. She wants to find ways to make homework and studying enjoyable for her kids so that she doesn't have to keep nagging them about doing their homework. And she wants them to just want to do their homework on their own. So this brings us to our problem statement. Like, how do we empower, especially young kids, to want to learn new vocabulary on their own? So we're going to be looking at today parents with children who are in elementary school, ranging from ages between 6 and 10 years old. We want to focus on a mobile app. We figure something something they can use on the go, that they always have on them, whether it's in a car ride to soccer practice or waiting around for someone's ballet recital. They can have that app on them, and they'll have that free moment to use to study. So really, for Janet, she's really wanting to find a way to entice and encourage and empower her students to study on their own. She is frustrated during homework time. That's constantly a battle. She's looking for ways to get them to be more and more independent and relieve some of that frustration from homework time. So really, we want to think about creating something that's going to be always handy, so that if they're on the go, they can use it. Something that's going to be fun. So thinking about gamification for the kids, because we know that kids love to play video games. And then for parents, we also want to be thinking about how are ways that they can track their progress and not have to be so intrusive and constantly nagging. So I got to the drawing board, and here you can see I started doing a Crazy 8 activity where I was just throwing out ideas, things that might work for a layout for the new set screen. So creating their own sets. So the idea would be that if their teachers sent home a vocabulary list, parents, or perhaps later on even the children, once they figure out how to do it, could set up their own study lists from school. And then the other screen that you'll see on the right-hand side there is all about progress. So parents being able to monitor and track the students' progress. And this is what I came up with. So in the top set, you'll see where you're able to click on the Add button down at the bottom to add a new card set, a new study set. And then in that, you type in your vocabulary word, the definition. You can add a photo from either the web or from your own personal photos on there. And then you would click Save. So you have the save notification, it's been saved, and then you'd be able to flip through and study. There would be options at the bottom to add a test date and get alerts and notifications to help remind the student to study. And then you would also have ways to organize it into different folders, share it perhaps even with friends, or if it was a teacher creating it, they could share it with their class. And then an edit button right next to that. So at the bottom of the page there, you'll see where we have our progress report. Now the parent would be able to click on their connections at the bottom, and by clicking on the floating action button, they could see the list of their children that they have connection to, and they can click on them to see a more detailed report. As you go through, you click on the test, you can get more and more details as you kind of go down that flow. They would scroll and they could see where the student took a pretest, got a certain score, then they took the test later on and got a better score. They could see where the child also got badges, earned badges. Maybe they played a certain game and they got the highest score, so they would get a badge for something like that. And then on down, you would see how much time did they study? How much time on task do they have? Each day, you could calculate the minutes that they studied and then put that into a chart for the parent to be able to easily, quickly, just get a real quick at a glance, how is my student performing on this test? Are they ready on test day, like Friday for test? So I got the prototype up and put into the hand of a couple of users. And what I noticed was that they signed in really quickly, no problem. They went through the onboarding super quickly, no problem. They stumbled a little bit to make their first set, but they eventually figured out the floating action button at the bottom to create the set. But when it came to finding their students' progress, that was a complete fail. They could not figure out how to find the students' progress. They stumbled through that quite a bit. So I felt horrible because they left feeling like they just didn't know what to do. So I was ready to get back to the drawing board, but I wanted to show, okay, here's where we're having our biggest problem is when I first looked at it, I was like, okay, I want to revamp that whole section about the progress screens. So if we're looking at our usability testing results and we're giving everything a score based on the Nelson ranking, signing in was 0, no problem. Onboarding, yeah, there was some slight problems, and it would be nice to fix a little bit of that if we could, just so they could kind of slow down a little bit and read through that some more, but not really a huge issue. The new set, the stumble was a little bit, but after you learn how to use the app, after you've seen the app a couple of times, the user would be able to understand how to get back in there and create the set the next time, so it's not really that big of a deal. So, which left me with that last task, which was creating or going through and seeing the students' progress was a huge catastrophe. But when I really sat down, I realized that it wasn't so much just that wasn't working. It was I wasn't working the user through that process, that onboarding process. So I thought, let's take a step back and maybe I can kill 2 birds with 1 stone, or in this case, 4 birds, all the tasks that we did. So with stepping back, slowing down the process, doing an onboarding that really highlights those main features will hopefully bring the user's attention to those really key areas. And so what you see here is where I've focused on the parent-student relationship in the app, and I have highlighted the floating action buttons at the bottom that show how to add a set and then also how to connect to other people and check on their progress through that. So, moral of the story, I realized that really the more obvious, the better. If I really want this user to feel confident in using the app, then I need to slow down and really point out, like, here are these features, or here's this navigation, or here's this title of this page, so that it's all very clearly marked. I really enjoyed getting to create all of the information architecture for it. I thought that, really doing that was a lot of fun. What I really did not enjoy doing was watching people struggle using my app. It really made me want to jump in there and fix all of those problems right away. But I realized that I am trying to do too many things at once, and I need to dial it back down and really focus my efforts in these key areas, these first key areas, and focus on one flow at a time. So for our future projects, that's something that I want to work on, is really focusing on one flow at a time and making sure that iconography and layout are way more obvious, and that I'm going to try to figure out ways to rely less on onboarding. But for now, I think that's what will work the best for the Vocab Ninja app. So thanks again for watching. I think I'm going to put on a link at the end of this video to the prototype so you can check it out. The slide deck will be there as well. And so I really look forward to hearing your feedback. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.